Welcome to the City League live here on a wonderful Thursday night. Our first game of 4 tonight is going to be the 1-0 Ali Becky-led Centier Bank squad facing off against the 0-1 Pace squad. I am Andrew Garrison. Alongside me is Zion Brown. And Zion, it's a great week 2 of the City League so far. What are you looking for the night ahead?
Sure is, Andrew, in this second week of the City League. And it's really where you get to learn about yourselves even more, right? Last week, obviously, is the first time going out there as a team. And this week, you get to really solidify who you are, whether you know your play style or just in general how good you are as a team. And so I'm curious to see all the games we see tonight, just how these games match up, and especially starting with this one with this Centier Bank team that was really impressive last week.
Absolutely. Centier Bank won by 24 over Girls Inc. and clearly looked like the best team on the Queens of the Court side of the league. And on the other end, Pace is a team that really hasn't done all much good so far through their first game. They had one great scoring run, in the first half of the game last week, and then other than that, we're pretty much run off the floor by Be the Hand. So it'll be an interesting second test, as you mentioned, Zion, where you have a team in Centier Bank that's looking to sort of put an exclamation point on their victory from last week and solidify their presence at the top of the table. And you're looking at Pace kind of trying to prove themselves and show that they're not a team that's potentially going to slip down the standings as the weeks progress. And sort of previewing the rest of the night tonight, after this, we've got a men's game between Big Brothers Big Sisters and Mambo's Cheesesteak Grill. That will be a great one as the runners-up from last year appear in Mambo's Cheesesteak Grill. Circle City Talk, Be the Hands, another great women's game. And then Elevate Indy and Prudential, the defending champions, making their first appearance this summer. What's great about the City League, Zion, is how there's so many great teams that every single night, no matter which night you decide to come out or tune in, you're going to have at least 2, 3, and potentially 4 games that are some hard-hitting, massive matchups. And we hope that begins with Pace and Centier Bank.
Sure, there's so much talent, and just the fact that these teams come together kind of on the spot or maybe late in the process sometimes can really show you different things. And so I'm curious to see how this game goes. Like the first few minutes of this certain game will be interesting to see if Centier Bank comes out with that same dominance and to see if Pace can kind of keep track with what Centier Bank does early in this one.
Absolutely, and I felt like last week for Pace, really the key was they were having the most offensive success when they were at least anchoring their offensive possessions with Ariel Ford down low. It felt like there were certain moments where Be the Hands was speeding them up. They were playing full court. They were beating them down the floor in transition. And when Pace couldn't really fuel their offense through Ariel Ford the way they wanted to, they sort of fell apart at the seam. So early on, looking for Ariel Ford to really establish her presence down low, especially against Alex Richard, who was one of the best performers of last week of the City League across the board. She was the leading scorer on the women's side. She dropped 20 last week against Girls Inc., leading scorer for that Centier Bank squad. So sort of the battle for position down low between Ariel Ford and clearly Alex Richard, who's has been the best big in the Queens of the Court side of the City League so far. It'll be interesting to watch that play out at the beginning.
Anytime you have somebody down on the block in this league where, not every team has that same sort of size, you're looking to see how that player does down low. And like you mentioned with Ford, she can really help be the centerpiece of this Pace offense.
We get set for the tip, and it will be Alex Richard and Ariel Ford. Set to tip. 20 minutes on the clock for the first half of Game 1 tonight, and the tip is won by Ariel Ford and gathered by Jessie Key of Pace. Jessie Key working right to left at the free throw line, works it inside to Ford right away. Ford quickly double-teamed, puts up a shot, highly contested, and a grinning Haley Smith will send it the other way. She whips it to Allie Becky, and it's Becky at the top of the key to Olivia Smith and then to her sister Haley. Back outside is Destiny Thomas, who puts up a shot, and that one rattles off the rim and is retrieved by Jessie Key of Pace. Key crosses the timeline, pulls up from the mid-range. That shot just off, rebounded by Smith. And here's Centier Bank looking for the first bucket of the game. It's Allie Becky pulling from 3 and hitting a 3-0 lead for Centier Bank right away.
Allie Becky is somebody you have to find in transition. She's going straight to that three-point line, and she'll be ready to catch and fire.
And again, a launch from the mid-range. That time, Jossie Spears off the mark and out of bounds.
And what I like about this Centier Bank team, they've really got 4 ball handlers that they trust and believe in, and so that makes the offense a lot easier.
And certainly some tenacity defensively. It's Spears, a second opportunity from beyond the arc. That one banks in, and we have a tie ball game early on with a couple triples from outside.
Andrew, did she call it? Could you tell?
I certainly don't think so, but shot counts nonetheless. Ali Becky crosses the timeline. She's closely guarded by Spears, plays off the screen from her Ball State teammate in Richard. Finds Smith outside. Smith works against the defender, and a long 2 drops, and she has something to say about it against Jessie Key.
Yeah, she sure did. That was a tough, long jump shot, and she had some words after the fact.
Spears misses from just beyond the free throw line once again. Centier Bank back the other way. 3 pulled by Smith. That one off back iron. Rebounded by Thomas. Thomas flashes inside, quickly runs out of room. Kicks out to Becky. Becky left wing, driving inside, drawing the foul call, and she will head to the line for 2.
Defensively, so far for this Centier Bank team, it's been impressive. They gave up the 1 3-point make on the bank shot, but besides that, they've been able to get stops and really been one and done mainly as well. Being able to get stops and get the rebound, even with a size disadvantage.
Centier Bank seems real quick to the ball, and that was really a key for them defensively against Girls Inc., where Girls Inc. felt like a half-court team that wasn't quite on it in transition, and particularly Olivia and Haley Smith, they were taking advantage of that in transition and in the backcourt, really forcing turnovers, and Centier Bank right away is going to have a lead off Ali Becky free throws to make it 6-3, and Pace really hoping to be able to play when the pace is pushed. And here's Pace, a 3-pointer off back iron, rebounded swiftly by Rucker. That one off as well. Centier Bank looking for an opportunity to extend the lead. And a quick double team as the ball rolls out of bounds. Centier Bank misses on an opportunity to get to the cup.
You see there an example of just what Destiny Thomas does. I mean, Andrew, I've been watching Destiny Thomas play basketball for probably 70 years at this point, and she just is really good at controlling the pace and really setting up her teammates, and she's gotten better and better at decision making.
Here is Thomas. Wise decision to give up the basketball. Finds Smith at the top of the key. Smith whipping it to Becky. Becky into Richard. Slightly off-balance entry pass and a slightly off-balance shot as Richard will miss, and there's a shot clock violation. We're seeing the shot clock now implemented here in Week 2 of the City League. Wasn't working last week, and now it's sort of going to change the game a bit as teams are going to have to speed up their offensive possessions.
And those are the only sort of possessions where I feel like it truly comes into play is when, you miss a shot and it doesn't hit the rim. For the most part, these teams are getting up shots within 24 seconds. So it's a nice addition, of course, to have. Got added to the City League a few years ago, and it's good to know that teams now can't get up and really just stall out their offense. But for the most part in these games, you see high tempo, high pace regardless.
And certainly it makes the basketball a whole lot more fun to watch. 3 ball from Spears off the mark as she continues to search for her shot. Destiny Thomas once again kicks it out. Now to Becky, top of the key. 3 ball just off, rebounded by Key. And Key is hounded in the backcourt by Olivia Smith. Pace fortunately escapes the situation, launches a 3. That one's off once again, but rebounded by Rucker. Rucker will give it up to Spears. Spears rumbling down the lane and is fouled on the way.
I'd like to see somebody attacking the basket. Both these teams have been very jump shot heavy so far in this one, and it hasn't been the prettiest display of offense. You want to get those easier shots near the rim to start games like this, and then maybe you get in your rhythm a little bit more later on in the game.
Spears inbounds to Key, and great ball movement from Pace as Key finds Ariel Ford on the block. She puts it up under and through. 6-5 is now the lead for Centier Bank. Ali Becky handles the basketball. Gives it up to Thomas. Thomas pulls from 3, and that one's cash. And it's a 2-possession lead once again for Centier Bank. Pace back in the other direction. Jossie Spears plays off the screen, pulls from mid-range. A long 2 off back iron, rebounded by Haley Smith this time. 14 minutes to play in the first. Smith on the left wing. Attacks the glass and is just off the mark with her layup. It's rebounded, fortunately, by Centier Bank. Becky gives it up to Richard, back to Smith. Smith, the second chance, right wing three, off back iron. And rebounded by a teammate in Destiny Thomas. Multiple offensive rebound opportunities as it's funneled in to Alex Richard. Thomas, once again, corner three, off the mark. Certainly a high volume of shots coming up from Centier Bank.
Just couldn't get any of those to fall despite getting their ball on the loose ball time and time again.
Inside is Key, and she whirls one through the hoop again. Low percentage shot falling. Here's Smith to Smith. Right wing three, buckets. And the sisters making magic happen offensively. It's 12-7.
Yeah, that gamble there ended up causing the wide open three-point shot for Centier Bank.
Here's Key. Attacks the glass, lays it through. 12-9. Now Allie Becky in transition, gives it up to Destiny Thomas. And there's that quick pace of play from Centier Bank where they're really using the full, 90 feet of the court to their advantage.
You're seeing basically 8 of their 14 points at this point be in transition.
It is their calling card for success without a doubt. Here's Rucker now, smashing to the glass. And a whistle on the floor as it falls limp out of bounds. It'll be Centier Bank making a substitution. It's Irie Gomez checking into the game. It'll be Haley Smith exiting. Allie Becky will commandeer the offense, crossing the timeline, up by 5 with 12 minutes left to go in the first half. Becky makes a move on Spears, kicks it outside to Gomez. Gomez out to Thomas. Thomas top of the key, finds Becky. Becky inside to Richard, and Richard backing down the defender. Kicks it out to the open shooter, and it will be Smith launching a three off the back iron. Now Richard from the free throw line. That one rims out. And finally, Richard off the entry pass from Becky will put it through. It certainly feels like Centier Bank could have a whole lot more points on the board here. They're struggling to hit shots a bit early in half-court offense.
From that possession, you see back-to-back offensive rebounds by Allie Becky that eventually leads to points down low.
Spears hurls one at the rim. It's off back iron, and that's a key that you just mentioned, Zion, there, where Pace clearly doesn't quite have any sense of a size advantage on the floor. They're struggling to get boards defensively, and this 7-point deficit certainly could be a whole lot tighter if they were grabbing boards off the glass and crashing the glass a bit better. But it's both those second chance points and those transition points for Centier Bank that are putting them ahead with 11 minutes left to go here in the first.
You're right. I'd say both teams are defending well in the half court.
And there's Richard, who struggles to grab the offensive rebound that time. Jesse Key pushing the pace back the other direction. And it's tipped out of bounds by Rucker. It'll be Centier Bank with another opportunity as Key misses the jumper.
Quite a few of these shots have felt a little bit rushed by Pace. Let's see if they can just settle into this game.
Destiny Thomas into Gomez. Back out to Thomas. On the right wing, she crashes to the glass, and it rolls down. 18-9, the lead for Centier Bank as we reach nearly the midway point of the first half. Jossie Spears, top of the key, closely guarded by Destiny Thomas. Spears loses a handle on it, and again, Destiny Thomas poking the basketball away. There's a turnover on the entry pass, and yet again, this time it's going to be Jossie Spears knocking it out of bounds. Centier Bank will reset off the inbound.
Yeah, Centier Bank trying to push again. I honestly feel like that was a ball Jossie Spears maybe could have just grabbed instead of batting it out of bounds, but nevertheless, she breaks up another one of those transition opportunities.
Gomez will inbound, finds Smith. Smith looks to consider pulling up from three. Instead, she'll race inside, and a beautiful move for a mid-range shot that misses everything. And here's Jesse Key again, pushing the pace and pulling up from the mid-range. That jumper falls. That seems to be the calling card for Jesse Key so far in this game as she cuts the deficit to just 7. Here's Smith on the right wing. Over to Smith and inside to Richard. She misses, and here's an opportunity for Pace to sort of string together a couple positive possessions, but a turnover in transition might just lead to an extended lead from Centier Bank, and it does. There's Haley Smith with yet another second chance opportunity leading to points for Centier Bank.
Yeah, can't turn it over in the backcourt. That's what ends up happening, is that you're just at a disadvantage playing defense, and at least the offensive rebound and the easy bucket.
And for Pace, I feel that really the key is to stay within a 1 or 2 possession deficit at the very worst. And they're going to have to string together some, like we were just mentioning, some positive possessions time after time. And that comes with getting stops, and that comes with really taking care of the basketball, because where Centier Bank has been able to extend their lead and put them out of reach has been in transition with those turnovers that they're forcing. And when you have Haley Smith and Olivia Smith on the floor at the same time, it's incredibly difficult to get your offense set up the way you want it to be set up. It's really just been the last few points for Pace. It seems to me, Zion, it's been Jessie Key pushing the Pace down the floor and then pulling up from the mid-range on that push shot. And I'm interested to see if Pace is going to have any other opportunities to put points on the board with how dominant this Centier Bank team has been in transition.
Pace has to figure out something offensively, right? 11 points in 11 minutes just isn't going to cut it. So whether it is those jumpers from Key or something else, they'll have to hit a few of these threes that they've missed as well. But like I said, I feel like it's just been a lot of rush shots, right? We've seen a few from the guards. Key hit that one in transition in the mid-range, but she was open, so it was a good shot. But some of these shots have been kind of contested, 8 to 12 feet from the basket, and haven't really been solid looks. And we talked about it pregame, and we haven't seen her do much. I think she just has the one bucket. They'll need more from Aerial Ford, right? Aerial Ford down low is somebody who I think they need to go to and try to run that offense around and try to slow this game down by doing so, and able to come back in this game and to start, being more efficient on offense.
I completely agree with the point about Aerial Ford. What is difficult is Alex Richards seems to have more length than her, and with Ford off the floor at the moment, as she was just before the timeout from Pace, it seems like Alex Richards really does have the advantage down low, and that's exactly what we want to see Pace sort of establish a presence in, at least that area of the floor. It's going to be Key inbounding to Spears, and Spears will steadily cross the timeline here after the timeouts. Down 9 is Pace. Spears works off the screen towards the left wing. Gives it up to Benj. And Benj now to Spearman. Spearman will airball. And it's rebounded by Smith. She'll push the pace the other way. Richard has a distinct size advantage. And now we'll back down and reach the and one opportunity. Backing down Peyton Benj was Alex Richard. And she had the mismatch at first. It ends up working out for her anyway as she has the physical play down low.
She said I could do that every time. She ran up the court. They missed her up the court. She would have had an easy wide open layup initially. But then they swing that ball over to the corner to get the entry pass and an easy and one for Richard with the three-point play being completed. It's
so difficult to match up well with Centier Bank because, as you mentioned earlier, typically 4 quality ball handlers on the floor at the time, and then Alex Richard, a very versatile center. Here's Pace in the other direction. Jessie Key again, the sole contributor offensively, at least in terms of points. She puts it through from inside. Smith pulls from 3 and immediately negates the damage done by Key offensively. 26-13, the lead for Centier Bank.
Can't let somebody walk into a 3 off a made basket.
And there's Jossie Spears working inside and blocked from behind by Richard. Such a dominant presence down low and nearly had the layup in the other direction, but fortunately that one is going to be knocked away by Spearman.
She sprinted to the floor again, Richard, that is, like we saw her do 2 possessions ago, and that time it was nice to break it up and cause an inbounds rather than an easy layup at the rim.
Inbound to Richard and given up to Smith, and again Smith, just the defense couldn't quite stick with her, and Smith again has lots to say to Key as she puts Centier Bank up 16.
It's a 9-2 run out of the timeout.
And it's rebounded by Smith into Thomas. Thomas from the right wing crashes to the glass, and that's going to be a jump ball called, it appears. Great hustle play from Pace defensively as they've struggled to sort of defend the perimeter.
And again, it hasn't really been their half-court offense. When they're able to, their defense rather, when they're able to set their defense pace, that is, it has been really solid. It's just about consistently being able to set that defense and then getting rebounds as well.
Absolutely. It'll be Key set to jump the ball up, and she will be against Destiny Thomas on the other side. Thomas played with Allie Becky at Brownsburg in high school. There's Key winning the tip but knocking it straight out of bounds. Possession will head towards Centier Bank. Olivia Smith to inbounds. And it's Destiny Thomas at the top of the key, marshaling the basketball. She works inside to the mid-range, and there's a great turnover opportunity, but it's gathered by Richard, and Richard will get the whistle down low. Again, a hustle play by Centier Bank. It's just so difficult to win this game through the margins against Centier Bank because they do all of the little things right.
Every loose ball seems to end up in this team's hands, and that's a recipe for success. And one little thing is a free throw that is just missed by Alex Richards. So the Centier Bank team not perfect despite a 29-13 lead with 5 minutes to play in the first. Richard misses the second, but it's rebounded by Smith. Smith pulls from three, off back iron, rebounded by Haley Smith. Out to Thomas at the top of the key. And here's Olivia Smith searching for redemption. She'll hand it off to her sister. There's Haley on the right wing. She makes a move on Key, and there's a shot clock violation. Just completely unaware of the shot clock is Centier Bank. And there's a turnover, and it'll head the other direction. Yep, that shot clock, it resets to 14 after a rebound, and it's easy to forget about. It was a nice job. Just even after giving up the offensive rebound on a free throw, Pace was able to set their defense again and cause a turnover.
Running clock here at the City League. In the mid-range is Pace. Just off the mark, rebound by Ford, who has checked back in the game, but she misses. And those are points in the front court that Pace simply needs, and Alex Richard will pull up over Ariel Ford. Richard has just been dominant down low and in the mid-range. She can pull up from outside. She can back down defenders. And Pace will fail to respond with a three. It's a 31-13 lead. Thomas will create a 20-point lead for Centier Bank here late in the first half.
Yeah, this has been pure domination. Once again, we see back-to-back buckets coming in transition, and this is now a 13-2 run.
Pace has not been able to hit a shot here coming out of their timeout. Smith on the right wing finds Richard. Richard from the elbow, cash. No doubt about that one as Alex Richard pockets another pair for Centier Bank. Jossie Spears handling the basketball, down 35-13. She finds Key. Key in the lane. Passes it to Olivia Smith on the other side. And Smith this time will not be able to finish on the fast break.
It's good defense by Rucker.
Ford has it inside. This time draws the foul call. The shot doesn't fall, but Ford will shoot two. That's something we saw a lot of last week as well. Ariel Ford drawing whistles, but not quite able to finish those layups down low off the entry pass, and that was also a contribution to Ariel Ford sort of struggling to make magic happen down low and keep that Pace offense rolling. She'll head to the line for two for redemption.
You'd obviously like her to hit the layup with the foul, but regardless, she got in position to catch the ball, was able to make a strong catch, and then get to the foul line. Now you're in a situation like this, down 22 points, you got to hit your free throws.
Absolutely. Ariel Ford will prepare for the second one. Running clock here in the City League. 2 minutes left to go in the first half as Ariel Ford misses both. Here's Smith working the other direction. Becky back in the game, retrieves it in the corner. Entry pass to Richard. Great ball movement from Centier Bank. Smith pulls from three. That's off back iron, and it's rebounded by Spears. Down 22 is Pace. And Spears will cut it to 20 as it rolls around the rim. A great take to the rim. Here's Allie Becky crossing the timeline. She's on the right wing, finding Alex Richard. Richard kicks it out to Becky. Wide open corner three. Allie Becky misses, but is rebounded by Smith, out of bounds, and Centier Bank will keep it. Allie Becky doesn't miss often on wide open corner threes like that, but certainly up 20, they have a bit of a cushion as Alex Richard will check out of the game.
Well, and when you're fortunate enough as a defense to see that ball not go in the basket, you got to get the rebound afterwards, Andrew.
Absolutely. Fortunately, Centier Bank's going to have another opportunity. Now, Alex Richard checked out of the game. Ariel Ford remains in there. We'll see if Pace can make anything happen offensively with Ariel Ford having a distinct size advantage, and she will grab the rebound straight away. And if you pack this game up for Pace and you sort of look for positives to move forward with, one is how great Ariel Ford could potentially be with a size advantage if they find themselves in games in that situation in the future. And there's going to be the foul call on the shot from Key. She'll head to the line for two.
Key is smart here. She'll take her dear time on these 2 free throws with the clock now dwindling under 20 seconds.
And she hits the first. This will likely be the last action of the first half, as you mentioned. Down 19 is Pace. Heading into halftime, Key will make it 18. And that should be it as Smith does not put a shot up at the buzzer. 35-17 is the lead for Centier Bank as they look to be the first team to go 2-0 so far in the City League, at least on the women's side. Zion, what's your biggest takeaway from the first half as we see Pace rack up a large deficit?
Pace just has to be more poised and calm in their half-court offense. I think for Centier Bank, it's really impressive the way this team just kind of steals points, right, between doing it in transition, offensive rebounds, free throws. It's not always, we're setting up a beautiful half-court offense where we're putting up the best look possible. It's just finding ways to kind of steal buckets, and that can get you a long way in the City League.
Absolutely. And Centier Bank, sort of an average team last year, been a bit average throughout the years, but bringing in Allie Becky and really making the additions to the squad to compete for a championship in the City League, it's exactly what they've done. And we saw Horizon League play last night. That's Bria Goss's team, the defending champions. And although they picked up a win over a very strong Indy Black professional squad, it really does seem like we're on a crash course for Centier Bank versus Horizon League in what could be a thrilling matchup later on in the year. For now, Centier Bank, it's blowout win after blowout lead, or it's blowout lead after blowout win, perhaps, and we'll see if they end up being able to finish this one off and take a second win on the season. Centier Bank just looks amazing, and it's very difficult to find a weakness for this squad. They have such a strong anchor in Alex Richard down low, so versatile offensively. She sprints the floor, as you've been pointing out, Zion. So many great ball handlers, so many great defenders. This Centier Bank squad is going to be so difficult to beat throughout the season.
And like I said, it's kind of this new age basketball in a way. Whenever you have four ball handlers, it's hard to guard, right? And I know everybody always talks about spacing and having this many shooters on the floor. Obviously, that's important, but just having players who can do things with the ball in their hands, who are skilled basketball players, that's just as important. And we see it in this Centier Bank squad.
Absolutely. Now, on the Pace side, it's unlikely that they're going to come back from this deficit and end up winning, but a lot of times in blowout games like this, I think it's great to sort of look at the losing team and allow them to sort of find positives to carry into the next game as they're trying to learn about themselves, learn about each other, learn about their opponents. And so to me, the real question is Ariel Ford and how much he's going to be able to do down low. Despite Centier Bank having such a large lead, Jessie Key is the leading scorer across both squads. She has 10, and that to me is really, indicative of how Jessie Key has been their entire offense throughout the first half. And fueling the ball inside to Ariel Ford is only going to become a reliable strategy offensively if Ariel Ford is able to finish at the rim down low, even against larger players such as Alex Richard with more reach. Ariel Ford down low is going to be such a key to the improvement of pace throughout the season, and I want to see how she does throughout the second half, especially when Alex Richard is off the floor.
Right, and I would say I'm not predicting a comeback of any sorts here, Andrew, but it is made easier by that Elam ending, right? The clock stops, and then you're just playing against a score rather than the score and the time. So if you can almost have an own target score right now going into the second half, if you say, by the Elam ending, you want to be within 8. You never know, or maybe not 8, but maybe 10 or 12. But you have a chance. But it is just about kind of getting better throughout the second half and playing a much better second half than we saw this Pace team play in the first half.
Absolutely. And one redeeming quality of this Pace squad is, last week against Be the Hands, they did come out to a pretty decent deficit in that one, but they never really gave up. They were always fighting. They were always looking for opportunities to come back. They were always looking for, the ways to win every individual possession, even when down 10, 15, 20. They ended up losing by 22. So Pace is a team that I absolutely would not count out over the course of the season, and even in this game, as you mentioned, the Elam ending makes every single game so much more exciting, even the ones with wide margins as this one. 35-17 will be the lead for Centier Bank as they head into the second half. There's 20 minutes on the board. Once we get to about 4 minutes, they'll add 9 to the leading score, and the first team to reach that target score will be victorious. That means a game-winning shot in every single matchup across the season here in the City League. We've seen some thrilling finishes on both sides, both the men's side and the women's side, and even blowout games such as this one ends up being a bit more entertaining down the stretch, as you mentioned, Zion.
It's like, tennis or baseball or one of those sports where you basically have to finish it off, and there's no clock to finish it for you. And so that's what the Elam ending creates, and it makes for some fun endings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll see if Centier Bank will be able to hold on in this one. 20 minutes on the board. I'm interested to see if Alex Richard starts the second half. It appears as though she is. And on the other side, Ariel Ford, it seems like it's going to be Centier Bank's best 5 with both Olivia and Haley Smith, Allie Becky, and Alex Richard on the floor.
Yeah, they're coming back out with that starting 5. And it's so effective in the first half. I don't know why you would change it, especially on a day like today where they've only got 6 dressed. It's not many different lineup combinations you can really throw out there when you only have 6. So let's go back out with that starting 5 and see if they can get you to the finish line.
That's a great point. They don't even have everybody tonight. Referring to Centier Bank, Angel Gino was fantastic as a 3-point threat off the bench. If you need a clutch bucket and some fresh legs, Angel Gino is exactly what you would be looking for. Centier Bank is even better than they are appearing here tonight as Allie Becky crosses the timeline. She works into the mid-range and pulls up for the first bucket of the second half. The lead is extended back to 20. Here's Kelly Moten working back the other direction. Loses control of it and a whistle on the floor. Zion, did you see the call?
It's a foul right there on Haley Smith. I think the official was claiming that she kind of got Moten across the face as she was attempting that crossover move and as Smith was trying to poke the ball free.
So Pace will have another opportunity. Jossie Spears commandeers the offense. Kicks it outside to Key. Key working inside against Becky and just doesn't quite have the angle on the lay. Allie Becky back the other direction. She'll force it inside to Richard. Good defense by Ariel Ford. Forces Richard to give it up to Thomas. Back to Richard for another opportunity. Again, good defense by Ariel Ford, but just much better offense from Richard. 39-17 the lead for Centier Bank. Here's Moten on the right wing. She works to the top of the key, finding Spears. Spears from the elbow, kicks it out to Ford. Ford in the corner. Backs down Richard, gets past her, and the easy lay from Ford is pure.
Yeah, usually I would say I wouldn't want Ford to have to start her isolation from all the way in the corner, but she made it happen.
And there's Allie Becky pulling up from 3. She's so good in all 3 levels of offense. She can attack from anywhere. Certainly the X factor on this Centier Bank squad. And there is a travel and a turnover for Pace. Centier Bank will go back the other way. Allie Becky took a Ball State squad this past season to the NCAA tournament as a 12 seed, winning the Mid-American Conference. Her and Alex Richard teamed up in Muncie for such a great season.
And now if you're this Pace team, you have to be concerned because it seems like she's gotten in a rhythm after just an okay first half. Just as I say that, she turns it over.
And Ariel Ford is the one gobbling up the loose ball. Key pushing the pace back the other direction. She's just off the mark, and a successful rebound by Key. And again, A miss on a point-blank opportunity. Rebounded by Smith, back the other direction. Here's Thomas, considers a three, doesn't take it. Hands it off to Richard. Richard backs down Ford. And she is seemingly blocked by Ford. Pace back the other direction into Moten, and off the glass and through is the shot from Kelly Moten.
Ford played that right hand a lot better than we saw on the bucket that Richard got earlier in this second half.
Here's Smith to Becky on the right wing. And she is fouled by Jossie Spears. 42-21 the lead. We're about 12 minutes away from the Elam ending target score being put into effect. Here's Becky at the top, guarded by Spears, playing off the screen from Richard. Becky finds Smith. Smith pulls from three, and cash for Haley Smith from around the arc, graduate of Fishers High School here locally. 45-21. Kelly Moten at the top of the key, hands it off to Jessie Key. Key pulls from the mid-range and is just off the mark. Hits the backboard and nothing else. Smith in transition lobs it to Alex Richard. She can't finish at the rim. It's Key now with an opportunity into Ford in transition, and Ford does finish to create a 45-23 deficit. And here's an intercepted pass in transition from Kelly Moten. Moten doesn't have numbers. She slows the tempo. And a foul is called on the entry pass to Rucker. Pace stringing together a couple pretty good possessions in a row here.
Yeah, we just saw a 4-point swing from the missed layup by Richard, turning into a layup on the other end for Pace. And they were able to get that steal. Now here's another kind of big possession, see if they can score again and try to get something going.
Absolutely. It's Kelly Moten on the inbounds. Finding Jossie Spears. Spears dancing outside and will miss the long two. It's Becky in transition. Again, sprinting the floor is Centier Bank, and it's Olivia Smith that time, punishing Pace for not getting back in time. And a lob inside is off the mark once again from Pace. 47-23, the lead for Centier Bank. Destiny Thomas will inbound to Allie Becky in the backcourt. 47-23 is the lead. Becky at the top of the key in the mid-range finds Destiny Thomas. Thomas flashes to the glass, and a very hard fall from Destiny Thomas.
Yeah, that's one of those, not a hard foul, but a hard fall, like you said, Andrew. And hopefully it's just a bit of a stinger, and it's not actually much more than that, just hitting the ground hard.
Yeah, when she and the defender went in the air, the official was standing just in my line of view. I couldn't see it, but I definitely could hear it from the midcourt line on this end.
No, there's no malice in the foul there, just a normal foul and a play where Thomas couldn't really control herself as she was heading to the ground.
Fortunately, she seems to be A-OK as she approaches the free throw line. It'll be two shots for Thomas and Centier Bank. And she sinks the first. Destiny Thomas, attending St. Mary of the Woods College, averaging 7 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. And she will add yet another point to her total for the night. 49-23, the lead for Centier Bank. Key crossing the timeline, working left to right. And she works inside on Gomez. Did a great job putting herself in position to put that basket through. Becky pushing the pace in the other direction. She pulls up a long two just off the rim. Here's Pace in the other direction. Jossie Spears rattles that one out, and Key will draw the whistle on her second chance opportunity.
I like the purpose that Pace has played with, specifically offensively coming into the second half.
They are certainly doing their best to win each and every possession. Here's Key fouled once again as she works inside. It's really been Jessie Key doing most of the work offensively in terms of putting points on the board. She had 10 of her team's 17 at halftime, 25 points for Pace total now. And it's been Jessie Key pushing the pace and rumbling to the rim. It's that push shot, it's that floater. Nobody else has quite been able to hit shots at the volume that she has so far in this game. Here's Smith to Gomez. Gomez, a left wing three. That one's off the mark. Ricocheting off iron. And 11:46 to go here in the game. An intercepted pass by Smith on the left wing. Smith finds Gomez. Gomez out to Becky. Becky considers a three, will take it, and will knock it down. 52-25. Allie Becky hits the three, and she really has just been an alligator under the surface and then rising up when Centier Bank needs a bucket to extend the lead even further.
An alligator under the surface. I like that.
And there's Spears with a response. Smith to Becky. Becky considers a three. Instead hands it off to Richard. Back to Becky. And Becky again looking for space inside. Out to Gomez. Gomez from three. That one's off the mark once again. 52-27. The lead for Centier Bank. Kelly Moten on the left wing finds Jossie Spears. Spears to Peyton Benj. Benj to Key. Key on the left wing. The entry pass to Benj is knocked away by Richard and gobbled up by Becky. Becky to Smith. Smith on the right wing. Works it inside to Richard. Richard kicks it out to Becky. Becky makes a move on Key. Back to Richard. Smith has an open three. Will take it. And that one will just rim out. Rebounded by Moten. And a mistake in transition as Pace fails to maintain possession.
The Spears just couldn't hold on to the basketball going up the court. It turns into a turnover.
Destiny Thomas receives the inbounds from Haley Smith. Thomas at the top of the key. Closely guarded by Rucker. She works inside against Rucker. Her shot is off the backboard. Pace working back the other direction. Moten pulls from three. That one's off the front of the rim. Rebound here from Destiny Thomas to Smith. Back to Becky. Becky at the free throw line, working inside once again, and she fails to get it around Ariel Ford. Pace with the rebounds. Under 10 minutes left to play here in this one. Long two from Benj off the mark, rebounded by Becky. Becky finds Destiny Thomas. Destiny Thomas on the fast break, lays it in and extends the lead now to 54-27. Pace with an opportunity here. Autumn Rucker, right wing three. She knocks it down. There's some life for Pace. Down 24, but with an Elam ending, anything is possible. Here's Smith now, right wing three. That one's off back iron, out of bounds, and it will stay with Centier Bank.
Nice shot on the other end by Rucker. Just Becky was laying off of her, and she stepped right into the three and sank it, but it's going to need to be a little bit of a run here heading into the Elam ending portion of this for Pace.
It's about 4 minutes away from that target score going on the board. Here's Smith, corner three. Just off, rebounded by Ariel Ford. Pace working the other way. Elena Lawson handles the basketball. Finds Key. Key, entry pass to Ariel Ford. She struggles to grab hold of it, and the loose ball is going to fall into the hands of Haley Smith. Smith then transition back the other direction. She's on the left wing, and an incredible through the legs backwards pass to Thomas, and that will result in a foul call down low. Thomas will head to the line for two, but how about that from Smith?
It's great court awareness, right? You know Thomas is chilling behind you and is going to have kind of a runway to either shoot right away or take it to the hole like she ended up doing. And, yeah, very good pass.
Style points for Centier Bank, on top of the now 55 points on the scoreboard.
And it's one of those, it's style points, and at the same time, it is for effectiveness, right? If she has to turn around to make that pass, the defense can kind of prepare for it and maybe switch off and defend that better than they were able to with the out-of-nowhere, in-between-the-legs pass.
An incredible play for Centier Bank. Here's Pace, down 26, facing some backcourt pressure. They'll struggle to get it across the timeline, and they won't. Intercepted by Haley Smith. Works it inside to Thomas. Thomas can't finish at the rim. It's rebounded by Key. They escape that disaster scenario. Key now against Smith. She can't hit from outside the lane. Aerial forward with the rebounds. Out to Key. Key, perimeter three. Might be a long two. It banks in. They'll count it as a three. Here's Thomas crossing the timeline. Up 23 and looking for more. Thomas on the left wing works inside. And that layup does not quite fall. And again, this high-pressure defense from Centier Bank is part of what's made them so difficult to beat through 2 weeks of the season. Even up 23, they're looking for turnovers. They're a heat-seeking missile against the basketball. Jessie Key will hand it off to Sierra Spearman, and again, turned over. There's Smith to Smith. Smith steps back for three. That one's just off and out of bounds. But Pace has just had so much difficulty moving the ball, creating opportunities for teammates to score.
Yeah, it's been rough going offensively for this Pace team for sure.
Here's Spearman whipping it to Moten in the right corner. She hands it off to Key. Key, a three over Becky, is just off. Rebounded by Ford and stripped away by Gomez. It'll fall out of bounds and stay with Pace. Alex Richard is off the floor for Centier Bank, so Ariel Ford, best rebounder on the floor. Most size, she'll pull up from the mid-range and brick that one. 5 minutes to go, 1 minute until the target score is on the board. Smith to Smith and intercepted by Moten. And Moten in transition off the fast break, all alone, 1-on-0, will put the bucket through. 4:47 to go. Gomez can't finish at the rim once again. Key pushing the pace in the other direction. She'll pull up for a long two at the elbow. That one's off the backboard, rebounded by Becky. Becky lofts it to Gomez. Gomez into Smith, and Smith, a great hesitation and finish. 58-35. We're just a few seconds away from the target score reaching the scoreboard.
Right, we'll see, of course, that first whistle that comes at or under the 4-minute mark. And this will actually be it, because after the foul and the free throws, it'll head to that 4-minute mark.
So the target score will more than likely be 67. That's 9 added to the 58 that Centier Bank currently holds. 58-37 is the lead. First to 67 will win, and Pace in that situation is going to effectively have to score 30 more points to win, nearly doubling their score so far.
And now I'm looking at it, the clock has stopped. I didn't know. I thought it was supposed to run through it and then just become the 4-minute Elam ending in a situation like this. But I guess that's not the case.
Off the missed free throw. Here's Thomas inside. She draws a whistle, and she will head to the line. I'm assuming that these free throws are not going to have an impact on the target score, and it'll remain at 67. We'll, of course, see it show up on the scoreboard here in a few moments.
2 shots.
But that'll be significant, as if Thomas knocks both of these down and the target score stays at 67, as it should, since we're under 4 minutes, right, Zion? Then they'll be only 7 points away from victory.
I believe it comes after the free throws. I could be wrong. But, yeah, it comes after the free throw. So once she either makes or misses this next free throw, the target score will be announced over the PA here, and it'll be showing up on that time spot on the scoreboard, as you mentioned.
Thomas splits the pair. It's now 59-37. And here it is, Elam Ending. You're exactly right, Zon, after the free throws. So first team to 68 will win. Slightly changes the math for Pace. Centier Bank was going to be 9 points away regardless, but Pace is now 31 away from victory rather than just 30. And here's their first step on the road to victory. Kelly Moten at the top of the key, guarded by Gomez. She works inside, makes a great move on Gomez, and draws the foul. Kelly Moten, a tough take to the basket. She'll head to the line for two.
Fouls on Gomez, her second.
And I'd like to see more of that, right, from this Pace team, just getting all the way to the rim. It feels like too often they're in the mid-range or 8 feet away and shooting kind of a wild shot. But when you get all the way to that rim, one, it makes the officials make that call, right, on the foul. And two, it also opens up opportunities for offensive boards. I think easier when you're right at that rim and you can get it right back into your hands, or you can just have a kind of cluster of players in that position to rebound.
Moten will knock down the first, and Jessie Key has really exhibited exactly what you just brought up, where when she's pushing the pace, rather than going all the way to the rim, she pulls up for that push shot floater just across the free throw line, and many times it's gone in, but also many times it has been wild, and it's difficult to predict where the rebounds will fall. 59-39, Thomas from the mid-range. Pocket change for her. And they are now 7 points away from victory. Jossie Spears, top of the key, working inside, blocked by Richard. Thomas will fall, and Benj will pick up the loose ball. Here's a three-point opportunity for Pace. That one's off back iron, and Rucker knew it. It'll fall out of bounds and be inbounded by Centier Bank as their original starting five looks to finish off the victory. Allie Becky will take the ball up the floor. She crosses the timeline. 7 points away from victory. She works inside, kicks it out to Thomas. Thomas from three. Golden is the shot. 2 possessions away now is Centier Bank. Allie Becky's such a great distributor of the basketball.
That's a great pass. Is weaving around the middle of that lane and finding the open shooter on the opposite side of the floor.
And props to Allie Becky across the board, because she, in both games so far, has clearly been the most talented player on the floor, but she's not nearly the most high scoring. She's done a great job distributing the basketball and distributing the production across her team. Of course, getting buckets when necessary, but we've never really seen Allie Becky kick it into high gear because she hasn't needed to, because of how great the team is around her and because of how much she is elevating the team around her with the way that she distributes the basketball. It almost reminds me of Caitlin Clark. That's, of course, outrageous to suggest, but Caitlin Clark, somebody that doesn't always score the most for the Fever, but a great job moving the basketball around and keeping that offense afloat. That's exactly what Allie Becky has done through 2 weeks so far.
It's about doing what it takes to win, whatever that entails. That's going to entail something different every game for every player, and as a player, once you settle into a game and kind of figure out the way it's going, it's up to you to really make those plays that are key to your team winning a game.
Pace misses yet another opportunity to cut into the deficit, and Thomas will pass it right off the foot of a Pace defender. Alex Richards still fighting down low. She'll draw the foul. Alex Richards, swarmed by 3 Pace defenders, still picks up a loose ball twice and gets the shot up. That's the level of tenacity in the front court that Centier Bank has with Alex Richards that no other team has quite been able to match.
She just complements the rest of this team so well with the way she can fight and scrap and get a lot of loose balls. And now she has a chance to make this. We're just 1 possession away for this Centier Bank team.
She'll miss the first, but still an opportunity to put Centier Bank a 3-pointer away from victory. Now, in some ways, the fun part, Zion, is kind of finding out who it is going to be for Centier Bank that hits that final shot. She will miss both, and Pace will continue to have opportunities. Jossie Spears misses off a tough take, and it will head back the other direction for Centier Bank. So Olivia Smith receiving the inbound from Haley Smith. Becky considers a 3, doesn't take it, finds Alex Richard, back to Smith. And here's Haley Smith at the top of the key, making a move on Moten. Smith finds her sister Haley at the top of the key. Now to Becky. Becky inside to Richard. Just great vision from Allie Becky on that pass to notice that Richard had an advantage and had an opportunity to get to the basket before the defender could get in front of her. One possession away now, rather, is Centier Bank. Jessie Key on the right wing working against Smith. Key loses the basketball and a foul is called on Centier Bank. 66-41, target score is 68. Centier Bank is on the doorstep of victory once again.
That's the right call there. Just a bit too handsy from Haley Smith. She originally thought she picked it clean, but I did believe to see some arm contact on that poke away. Now it's free throws for Key, or a 1-and-1 at least.
Yeah, a 1-and-1 seems to be the situation as we near the end of the first game here tonight. Coming up after this one will be Big Brothers Big Sisters, a 1-0 team on the men's side going up against Mambo's Cheesesteak Grill. It'll be Mambo's first game of the season here on the second week. Key knocks down the first free throw. It's 66-42. And on her earned second opportunity from the line, Key will sink that one as well. Centier Bank has an opportunity to win this game on this possession. They're one bucket away. It's Destiny Thomas at the top of the key. She works inside. She'll look to take it all the way there herself. She fails to finish off the basketball game, and back the other way is Spears. Cuts into the deficit. And if Pace can string together a collection of stops and buckets, they can absolutely steal this one, but the odds are heavily stacked in the favor of Centier Bank at this point. Here's Smith finding Richard. Richard backing down bench, and she will draw a foul. Richard will have the opportunity to win this game from the free throw line, but we just saw her miss both free throws on her last trip there.
Yeah, she has struggled at the cherry stripe tonight, so we'll see if she can knock these down. But for Pace, they would need to score 23 unanswered points, which I've seen in games before, just not very often, and able to take this one home.
Richard knocks down the first. Centier Bank a free throw away from victory. And she misses, and it's rebounded by Pace. Intercepted by Smith in transition. Smith working against Key here on the left corner. She finds her sister in Olivia Smith. Back to Haley. Haley Smith for three and the win. She knocks it down. It's Haley Smith for the winning shot. Centier Bank will advance to 2-0 off of a 24-point victory last week and a 25-point victory here in this one. Centier Bank will be the undisputed top team on the women's side after this week of City League action.
An impressive wire-to-wire showing for this Centier Bank team. Just really offensively doing what they could, and then defensively just turning the water off for this Pace squad. There was nowhere for Pace to go throughout this game, and it showed very good victory for this Centier Bank roster.
Absolutely. They will advance to 2-0. Pace falls to 0-2. We're going to have you swap streams as we set up another one for Mambo's Cheesesteak Grill versus Big Brothers Big Sisters. One of the marquee matchups of the night is on the way. For Zion Brown, I've been Andrew Garrison. We'll be right back with you in a few moments for game number 2.